this game underway. Let's see who is going to manage to take it down and take home this trophy. I really hope that all the Fish fans in the chat are happy that Merfolk has managed to get to the final. We did see Rhinos in the final at Barcelona. Is it going to manage to go back-to-back taking down these LMSs? We shall find out very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking to both players down there, they're not entirely sure how this matchup's going to go. You know, obviously, just going to play it out and see how it goes. I've got the sideboard plans grained in my head / written on my phone for when we come to that, so I'll be able to tell you how both players sideboarding. And I was speaking to the Rhinos player why they bought Temur this weekend instead of the 4-color one. They just said mana base is better, so it's easier to play. I don't get stuck on mana, and it's gone real well from here. As we see the Cavern, which we've seen multiple times come down now.
Yeah, once again we said that Stefan is going to be on the draw, but that once again is not really true, as he opens with the Cavern, Gemstone Cavern with a luck counter, so effectively stealing the play, so to speak.
So chat, I'm going to ask you here, if you want to see the Rhinos player take down this weekend, I need to see those 1s in chat. If you want to see Fish take it down, I need to see those 2s in chat. Who are you supporting as we see the 8th of Isle come down here after a Cavern? Both players trying to do what they need to do here and trying to ramp out early and get on the battlefield.
Yeah, I thought Vial pretty strong opening too, because that's probably like amongst the best openings that the Merfolk deck can have, but there's one thing that is a little bit worrying for the Merfolk side. After all, many proclaim the printing of the card Fury to be kind of the end of the tribal decks, given that Fury can match up excellently against decks that just try to pull monsters into play and attack with them. We'll see how it plays here. Certainly, Ether Vial gives you a little bit of leeway against Fury, as you can flash in Lords, protect your Merfolks, and force your opponent to make tough decisions on how they split their damages.
Do we have any subtleties in the main? Let's have a little look. Let's see if we've got subtleties. Way to try and almost negate them. It looks like we've got 4 subtleties in the main.
Exactly. So, trying to take advantage of the free spells of Modern Horizons 2. So in the sideboard we see 4 Force of Negation. So this deck is well suited to counter your spells for 0 mana.
So basically there was a question asked away from the table by a Merfolk player asking how this interaction happens. When this comes down, can they turn the gemstone into an island? I believe they can. I believe is it any land or any non-basic land?
Yeah, there should be no issue.
Yep.
If you turn the land into an island, it should strip it of its other abilities, so the Gemstone Cavern would just tap for blue mana only, despite the luck counter still being on it.
And we're going to float red in response there by the sounds of it. Once it comes to the battlefield, we will be casting a Gone. Is it Gone? No, it's Dead, isn't it? Dead's the side that does the 2 damage.
Dead is 2 damage, yeah. It makes sense when you think about it. Dead kills a creature, and Gone just makes it go away, so it's gone.
So I've got confirmation of what is in our Merfolk players' hand. They started the game with Vile 2 land, Trickster, Subtlety, and a Tide Shaper, and they've drawn another Subtlety. So there is multiple Subtleties in their hand now, in case they do build that battlefield and a Fury does come down to stop it. But now we're going to turn 3. This is where the cascades start happening. We start putting 8 to 10 power on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And looks like that's it. Nice and easy game plan. Tap 3 mana. Play this 3/3. Cascade.
Yeah, no main answers to that. Like, the Force of Negations are all on the sideboard, so these Rhinos are gonna resolve on an empty board, so that's gonna be a bit threatening for the Merfolk player to return from that situation. So certainly very, very strong opening for Stefan here. Also, could you maybe remind us, what are the players playing for exactly?
These players are not only playing for the extra money, the extra credits to spend on the prize pool, they are also playing for a lot of booster boxes. The winner of this match will be taking home 25 booster boxes with them, but mainly they are going to get away with the flights, the accommodation to Athens, which is where the finals, where they'll be paying for slots in the PT and Worlds, and most importantly, this trophy here sat in front of us that we currently can't see on camera, but they're going to be battling out for all of this, and plus the glory of being able to do that beautiful tweet saying I managed to take down this tournament this weekend. As we see, a very powerful free drop hit the battlefield here. Ideally, it's better when you've got a battlefield full of creatures.
It's pretty unfortunate sizing here.
Yeah, I was about to say the
3/4 versus 2 4/4s. No, it's not really the best. You could try to maybe block and flash in a Lord, although that is very, very, very dangerous.
But ironically, if we didn't have that Gemstone Cavern, it would have been alright. We maybe would have won this race, but Gemstone Cabin managed to break the being on the draw aspect here. It means that we were able to get 10 power down before we can do that. So now we can start getting this combat in. But what if we manage to play a Lord here, make it a... Well, no, we're going to... Oh, it's before combat. We're going to tap down one of these Rhinos with a Trickster.
Makes perfect sense.
Okay, so in this situation, maybe there's a chance that we can, with maybe multiple Lords, and maybe if there's no answers on the other side of the battlefield, we could kind of win this race.
I think
It's a big ask.
importantly, there has to be no more Rhinos either, because that will be tough to beat. So there's still a threat of violent outbursts happening, though.
So we're looking at I would say not to take it up. We're going to leave that at 2. We're going to draw for the turn. How are we going to go about this? 2 mana.
No mana,
Nope.
2 mana.
2 mana in the pool, out the pool. See what I did there, pool?
Tide
Swimming pool.
Shaper.
What are we going to target with this?
So you could target the Fiery Islet maybe, which is okay if Stefan plans to cast a Violent Outburst, because that means that it will not be able to be cracked later on. Although, unfortunately, we don't know what is targeted because of the
We don't know, but
ambiguity of only seeing the screen. So Sphilon attacks, draws a card.
we've got double subtlety in hand that we know about.
Yeah, subtlety subtlety is kind of okay against Fury, right? You can have some counterplay against Fury with it, so that is pretty nice. But besides that, it maybe not be exquisite game 1.
Another outburst here. Instant speed, adding 8 power to the battlefield.
Notably, if we read Sphilon of Sea and Sky closely, we will learn that she does have indestructible as long as you control at least 2 other Merfolk. So I do spot 2 other Merfolk on the battlefield. The Rhinos will be able to block her, but not ambush her and kill her.
One thing I was going to talk about, which happened last time, so we're here, so we've cascaded through our deck. Obviously, our opponent is looking at what these cards... It's open deck list, but obviously looking at what cards that's been milled over, you can kind of narrow down the percentage chance of what cards are in their hand, right?
Exactly, yeah. You get some information as to what is in the bottom part of their deck that they will likely not access unless not before they shuffle their deck. So it's always worth looking, taking a mental note of what was there, and if you see like 3 Force of Negation in there, then your play should probably be informed by that and play around Force of Negation less than you would have otherwise, right?
I guess that shows that there might not have been a Lord in hand, because if we played a Lord there, we could have potentially got that Rhino off the battlefield. File is at 2. But in a real sticky situation here, this is 18 power on the battlefield.
Yeah, 18 power on one side of the battlefield, and the Merfolk side of the battlefield 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A single Lord would make it 12 power.
I think we've only got double subtlety left in hand.
Yeah, only 2 subtleties, no other cards, so that's a little bit rough because you really need the Lords, and the subtleties are pretty underwhelming here.
Let's see how they move forward.
Another land and attacking with everybody.
Yeah.
Even the Shardless Agent.
It does trade here, right?
Yeah, I guess it does trade, yeah, so it's not a bad attack.
So if we block like this is 12, 13, 14 power coming across, dropping us down to 2. Is there another outburst or a way to bounce one of these creatures in front of the Rhinos to get the trample to come across?
Yeah, just dealing 14 damage, putting Michelle down to 2.
And now we've got to try and deal with 4 Rhinos on the other side of the battlefield. I don't think we've got that in the main at all. I'm going to draw for the turn.
And I don't think you can come back from being this behind versus 4 Rhinos. So we're going to be moving to game 2.
Yeah, nice and easy, quick game 1 there. Just doing a game plan and bring it in. So I did ask what they were going to be bringing in on the zoo side. So we'll see if we can get their sideboard up first. It's quite easy for both of them of how they're going to be boarding.
Yeah.
Let's we're going to just get that up for you all at home. Here we go. We're going to start off with the Rhinos list by the looks of it. Yep. So What they're going to be bringing in is the Mystical Disputes.
Makes
And they're
sense
going to
against
take
the
out,
all blue deck.
yep, they're going to take out the Force Negations.
Also
Nice and
makes
simple.
perfect sense. Yeah.
4 and 4, easy. Good.
There is still some danger with cutting all the fossil negations. Namely, in the sideboards of the Merfolk deck, you see 3 Chalices of the Void, right? And if you remove all of your fossil negations, then you actually don't leave yourself with that many answers to that card. Although Brazen Borrower is still here as a way to answer that, so you could rely on that.
So yeah, so we're obviously looking at what they've got in their sideboard. We don't seem to have the graphic of it. So over in the Merfolk side, we do have 4 Force Negations, 3 Chalice of the Voids, 2 Hushbringers, 2 Spread and Seas, 2 Hercule's Recall, 1 Unlicensed Hearse, and 1 Kira Glass Spinner.
Yeah.
Out of them, anything take your fancy? I was speaking to them, and like they basically want to cut a few of the. They're going to take out the Aether Vials in this matchup because they're worried about Force of Vigor coming in over on the Rhino side. So they said, "Look, I'm going to take out my Aether Vials. I'm going to be bringing in a few different things like I think they said it was Hushbringer to me. Maybe they're bringing in a Kira, trying to settle down for a bit of a longer game.
Yeah, Harbinger of the Tides is the actually proper name of the card. The Merfolk that bounces the Rhinos could definitely come up and be helpful against that. Not overexposing yourself to a Force of Vigor certainly does make sense in a few ways, although it is going to be a little bit countered by the strategy of not bringing the Force of Vigor
I was about to say,
of the other players.
looking at these, I don't think I would even consider bringing in these Force of Vigors. Yeah, I know Aether Vials a very powerful card in this deck. If I can get down to turn 1,
You see
stick
the decklist, right? They see each other's decklist. You know that your opponent sees your Chalices of the Void in the sideboard.
Oh, but like a bit of mind games, like they see and they think they're going to bring them in. How bad he's going to be? Okay, I get you.
For sure, you want the Chalice because it's just excellent, right? Your opponent cannot cascade. But if you then have Vials and Chalice, you could get punished really hard by a single Force of Vigor. If your opponent spends 2 cards to answer a single Chalice, I think that's quite acceptable, and you can actually live with that. So I understand the reasoning here.
Obviously, both when I spoke to them about their deck lists and how they were going to sideboard about it, they didn't actually have the access to the other person's deck list, and that they just said, "These are what I'm. Good chance I'm going to bring these in. Good chance I'm going to bring these out. Nice and simple." But now we are going to see Merfolk on the play. Maybe we're going to see another Gemstone Caverns to almost negate that factor. We've seen it multiple times so far in this top 8.
We'll see if the luck counter will appear again.
Stefan does actually own a game store, and him and his friend managed to make top 4. They did lose to the Merfolk player in the top 4, so they're going to try and get a bit sweet revenge for their friend as a dock hand comes down at turn 1.
Making sure to know the text on that card. Makes perfect sense.
Island Walk, tap a land? Is it?
Yes.
Pay 1, tap a land? Yeah.
It's Rishadan Dockhand, so it is a reference to Rishadan Port.
We're going to take 2 damage here, and we're going to suspend this Crushing Footholds.
Alright, that's useful to have for the later parts of the game. It's actually one pretty nice thing about the Rhino deck is that it's not too bad to actually draw the Crushing Footfalls because you can just suspend it on turn 1 for green mana, and then it just stays in there and it's actually relevant reasonably early.
We're going to turn that Stomping Ground into an island there, I believe. But yeah, unlike things like Living End, where if you can't catch Living End, you can't really cast it.
Yeah.
Untap for the turn.
Alright, so the Stomping Ground is an island. Kind of unfortunate that you have Stomping Ground turned into an island because now you cut off your two other colors. Probably going to look to fetch up a Ketria Triumph maybe, or otherwise try to use Fire Eyes to deal with the Tide Shaper.
This is where it starts. Like, this would be like almost an ideal situation for a Fury or something to come down here, right?
True.
While they're small, there's no lords on the battlefield.
You could set back the Merfolk deck a lot by furying the 2 early creatures, and then any lord they play just does not have the same degree of effect anymore, right? Because it's just like there's no creatures to pump, so obviously it's not as good.
We're going to see that dead come down, do 2 damage, and take that off the battlefield. 2 mana here. We're going to follow this up with a Lord. Nope, it's going to be a. That's the Trickster, right? No,
Silver Gale
yeah,
Adept.
and that's the Trickster. Yep. Revealing that. Now we get to draw another card. Almost replacing itself as it ends the battlefield. Playing our land and just pass back. And I think we're going to see this Dark Hand activated in the upkeep here. And what we're going to keep them off green mana.
In response, we see
my money's on fire.
fire.
1/1 gets rid of one of these creatures.
The Dark Hand actually has 2 toughness, so it does not kill the Dark Hand.
It's interesting that they went for that and not face. What's the reasoning behind that?
It is unclear to me. Maybe if you, I don't.
I was just say maybe like if there's a Fury that needs to do 5 points damage, one creature's already got a point on it, but not
there
on this
isn't.
battlefield. Yeah.
So it's unclear to me if there was a strategic reason behind pointing the 1 damage from fire on the Dark Hand.
Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite them as we're going to pass the turn back to play land and pass. I think on the other side of the battlefield we've got multiple Tricksters in hand. I'm getting informed from down on the bottom. Multiple Tricksters, Akira. We've seen the Silvergale and Grove, yeah, so I think it's just multiple Tricksters on the other side. And it looks like they've top-decked a Vial. So they completely lied when I asked how they're going to sideboard. And it looks like they left the Vials in.
Yeah, I guess some change of plans.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Kira looks interesting. It's pretty effective against Fury. It protects all of your creatures for 1 time per turn, basically. So seems pretty effective against Fury. But in general, the Merfolk opening hand did not develop into much this game. We're gonna see another Dark Hand activation, and we're not gonna probably. That probably doesn't lead us anywhere, right? Because we see a violent outburst in response, very, very punishing. Let's see if the Cascade spell resolves, if the Crushing Footfalls hit the battlefield.
They might have boarded them out. We don't know.
Oh, we do know.
You know there's 1 there. They might have just gone down to 1.
Yes, technically.
Become immense. Looks like it's still in. Darwin Caesar Pyro. Fury. Still going. I was joking when I said about boarding them out. There we go. There it is. Managed to hit this. So we are going to get 2 4/4s in our upkeep.
And also remove the cannon from the other one, I guess. Yeah.
So there's a lot of information here. There's a lot of cards turned over that you can look through and idea, right, these are going to go to the bottom. There's a good chance, these percentage chance that they don't have the others in their hand. And now this is kind of the problem you have with living in these Cascade decks. That the more it takes you to get to that Cascade spell, the higher chance of you actually drawing one of your spell, like a Crushing Foot off the top.
True. That is true.
Not ideally what you want to be doing with it, but as we spoke about, not too bad in these Rhinos decks, as we're about to see one next turn come off suspend.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be pretty bad to draw it at this point, but for now, you're happy that your Rhino is resolved. You know that there's not many ways that the Merfolk deck can deal with the Rhino tokens that are already in play, so you'd have to raise them. So, but it does not seem trivial to raise. Like you'll need to see maybe some Merfolk Lords accompanied by maybe more Merfolk Tricksters to win this race.
We do see the Trickster end of turn come down, tap that Rhino. But now looking at what are we going to do?
Yeah, what now is the question.
I think we've got a one Lord in hand, is what I'm being told so far.
Yeah, 1 Lord would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. So bringing Stefan down to 8, it's not nothing. But
no,
it does not sound like necessarily enough either.
Who's going to end up winning the race? It looks like they've got 2 Lords in hand, but no extra no 4th land to be able to double cast them at this turn. So I think that we're going through the math in our head now, right? Like if I play this into that, but then what if there's a Fury comes down? I know next turn some more Rhinos are coming. So this race is going to be very, very relevant. But
yeah, if you know there's nothing, then you will actually win the race. But with 2 Lords, if you play 2 Lords in a row, right? Because you attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage this turn, and then you attack for 8 damage next turn, which is exactly 18, and all of that with Island Walk, which is unavoidable, cannot be blocked.
We
So-
did see 2 Furies in that cascade get put to the bottom of the library.
Yeah,
So we know that the chance of them, there's 2 more left in the deck if they all did stay in, of them being in the hand or near the top of the deck, is relatively, well, cut in half. I'd say 50% if 2 have gone to the bottom, as
yeah.
a lot
Well,
does.
at the same time though, it's not just Fury, right? There is so many other
Oh,
options.
yeah.
Like a dead gun would also mess the race math enough to turn the tide of the game. So you really have to bank on Stefan not having almost anything at all. And we've seen that Stefan missed a land drop, so that means that his hand is full of spells. So probably he will do something.
I like what you did there. Turn the tide
Yeah,
of the game.
it's like Merfolk
That's good.
Tide. They
I like it.
swim in water.
And here comes the Fury ditching an outburst.
Very powerful.
And we're
And,
just going to call it up. That's
results.
it. That is going to be game. We're calling it there. We've got nothing else to follow up. And Rhinos is going to take it down back to back. LMSs are going to be won by Rhinos decks, ladies and gentlemen. That was it. That is